your starting system or your starting plan for anything is always going to be flawed to an extent. And perhaps if you're going into an absolutely perfect plan, one that's considered every outcome, maybe you've overplanned to an extent, and maybe you should have simply gone for it a little earlier. Now, the sin, or perhaps one of the sins that plagues me most in my personal life, is, I suppose, becoming of a teenage boy, lust. One that I've touched on briefly before, but I suppose at first I had underplanned when I was trying to attack lust. It was simply, okay, I'm gonna wake up in the morning, I'm gonna promise God I'm not gonna fall into lust today, then I'm gonna fail, and then I'm gonna do it again tomorrow, and we'll hope that something's different then, right? And it never was. So then I decided to plan just barely, and it was, okay, I'll try to go one day without lusting, and then one day I can go gung-ho, right? Then a month later I could do it for 2 days in a row, then 3, and then 4, so on and so forth, till I can quit cold turkey. Now, this plan was unsurprisingly flawed. It failed to consider just how lustful I was. It failed to consider many factors that I consider now. And I suppose I've reached a certain point where I can at least attempt to quit completely cold turkey, even though I've already failed at that on an occasion or two. But I think that every time that I've fallen down, recently specifically, I've gotten back up, and I've learned something from my loss, be it even just a small lesson. A day or two ago was the last time I fell into lust deeply, right? And I realized, okay, well, when I fell into lust, it was very early in the morning, when my will was at its very weakest, when my logic was at its lowest, and that's more than likely why I did fall into lust, and why I couldn't run away and resist that temptation. So how can I do to amend that? Well, I suppose the ideal solution would be to wake up earlier, not to wake up earlier. Well, I suppose you could say that, to be more awake at an earlier time, I suppose, would be most accurate. And what this looks like is sleeping on the floor, because that's where I'm less comfortable, and when I'm less comfortable, I can't really think, and I can't really fall into such extreme sloth that I do when I'm in my bed, and thus it's a bit of a harder time to fall into lust. So when I'm sleeping on the floor and it's super uncomfortable, I'm excited to get up. I'm excited. I'm like, wow, I feel terrible from that. This ground feels terrible. I'm so excited that I'm standing up now, not laying down, right? And that's definitely a flaw. That I'm not getting such good rest. I'm spending a third of my life not getting good rest, which is amongst the time that I definitely should be getting good rest. So, some twinking, some adjustments are gonna have to be made. But for now, I suppose that's just gonna be an example to myself on how I can improve every time in failure. It doesn't even have to be such personal failures in lust in life. It could be more general learning from your mistakes, like Iron Man, I suppose, in the MCU, where he always learns from his mistakes in the movies and he doesn't replicate them again, right? So, another example in my personal life would be when I decided to go setting the bar, super duper high to which I can't even reach it, right? Where I'm like, okay, I'm going to read 50 pages a day. I'm going to write 15 pages. I'm not going to go on my phone at all. I'm going to completely destroy lust, and I'm just going to live a perfect day. Then, of course, I completely fail. But now I'm able to learn from that, to learn to set the bar lower this time and to gradually improve it. So, I suppose that's just the main takeaway of this video, a bit of a shorter one today, to simply learn from your mistakes, be they moral or ethical, political, psychological, I don't know, whichever other goals you can think of, to always learn from something. I believe that there's a lesson in everything and every day. And that's in part why I'm able to write every day. I'm nearly at 50 pages now in my own personal notebook. And one of my buddies asked about a month or two ago now, a month and a half, he asked, Sam, what's the plan when you run out of ideas to talk about? And I didn't have an answer then. I was like, I don't know. But I think I do now. And that answer is, I'm never going to. Because I don't think I'm ever going to, at least in this lifetime, live a completely perfect day. Every day will have some flaw, however minute, and every day I'll be able to learn from that flaw. I'll be able to collect a lesson and write it down. That's about it.